The Bouzeron appellation is named after the village and is found in the most northerly part of the Côte Chalonnaise, close to the border of the Côte de Beaune. It is situated about 10 kilometers northwest from Chalon-sur-Saône, the town which inspired the name for this region of Bourgogne. Its closest viticultural neighbor is Rueil, whose vineyards begin on the other side of Bouzeron's southeastern slope. The other three village AOCs within the Côte Chalonnaise, Mieuxcurey, Givry, and Montagny, are found approximately 12 to 30 kilometers farther south. Bouzeron is by far the smallest appellation of the Côte Chalonnaise, as well as one of the smallest village-level appellations in Bourgogne. There are approximately 61 hectares of AOC vineyards that are declared. The other three village-level AOCs of the Côte Chalonnaise are much larger. For example, Givry, which is the second smallest, has around 300 hectares. Unlike the rest of the appellations of the Côte Chalonnaise, Bouzeron has no premier crus. However, it does have 26 different lieux-dits. All of Bouzeron's vines lie in one well-defined and small valley that runs northeast to southwest and which is framed by two prominent hills. The Montagne de la Folie is on the east side and the Montagne de l'Hermitage is on the west side. Like neighboring viticultural villages, such as Rueil and Chassagne-Montrachet, the climate is semi-continental with southern influences. The valley, though, is open to the northeast, which can accentuate the continental influence. This is a unique trait in the Côte Chalonnaise. Unlike many Bourgogne aligoté vineyards, which are planted on the valley floor or on the plains, here in Bouzeron, the vineyards are planted on well-draining slopes, which can be quite steep. The soils can be shallow and rocky. This encourages lower yields, helping create higher quality white wines, particularly with aligoté, which can be abundant. Due to the diverging hillsides, there are various expositions which can influence the characteristics of Bouzeron's wines. On the west slope, under the Montagne de l'Hermitage, the vines mostly face southeast, though the most northerly area turns slightly more east. This ideal exposure allows them to profit from the warmth of the rising sun, as well as more sun exposure during the day. The vines here tend to produce richer, rounder, and more supple wines. Some of the lieux-dits in this area are La Fortune, Les Clous, and La Digoine. The east slope under the Montagne de la Folie faces mostly northwest, though the most southern portion turns slightly more towards the west. This hillside receives less sunshine than the western slope and is also exposed to westerly winds. The vines produced on this hillside are often fresher, crisper, and more chiseled. Its most southern area, by the lieux-dits Les Cordaires and Les Bouchines, the valley also gets narrower and as a result receives less sun, so grapes ripen even more slowly, encouraging higher acidity and a firmer texture. The altitude of Bouzeron's vineyards ranges from 220 meters to around 380 meters above sea level, which can also influence wine styles within the appellation. The eastern slope attains the highest altitudes overall, particularly towards the southern end, around the lieux-dit of Les Cordaires. Here it ranges from 370 to 380 meters. As a comparison, Les Courcelles on the northern end is slightly lower and ranges from 250 to 280 meters, while the bottom of La Tournelle is only around 220 meters. On the western side, the highest point is in the lieu-dit of l'Hermitage at around 310 meters. The main slope reaches around 280 meters, and the more northern side, such as La Basse Fortune, descends to around 230 meters. Another consideration which can affect the microclimate of the valley is the presence of small forests, which lie above the slopes on both the west and east sides. For example, the lieu-dit, Le Bois de Foiré, references these woods. The trees can create cooler air and also give shade at various times of the day, depending on the position of the sun, affecting those vines planted closer to the tree line. In terms of soil, Aligoté thrives in Bouzeron's white marl and limestone, which are truly ideal for this variety. Like much of Bourgogne, there are layers of diverse substrates which have shifted slightly through a series of fault lines. Both sides of the slope share the same geological layers. On the top of the slopes, one can find Nantou limestone. Because of its extremely rocky and shallow nature, few vines are actually planted on top of it. But through erosion, it has created the scree or small pebbles that are found on the topsoil of the slopes below. Directly underneath, there is Chagny marl, a type of limestone-based clay that is similar to what is found on the upper parts of the hill of Corton in the vineyards of Corton-Charlemagne AOC. A thin layer of iron oolite sits underneath the marl. These three layers all date from the Upper Jurassic, so from around 140 to 160 million years ago. Underneath these three layers lie another three layers which belong to the Middle Jurassic and so are older. These include other types of limestone and marl which are abundant in various ancient seashells, a reminder to Bourgogne's prehistoric past when it was once a seabed. Within this layer, one can also find yellow ochre limestone as well as chert, or chai in French, which is a hard silex type of stone. In addition, there are 5 fault lines within the core of the appellation, which run from north to south and line up from west to east. One is located in the middle of the Montagne de l'Hermitage, while another cuts through the Montagne de la Folie. However, neither are under vineyard land. The third is at the bottom of the west slope, while the fourth is towards the bottom of the east slope. The last one is found higher up the slope at the same level as the middle of Les Courcelles. These faults have added greater complexity to Bouzeron's geological layers, further enabling variances within wine expressions. So we can see that the Bouzeron appellation has marked diversity in exposition, altitude, soil, and other factors, which can of course create discernible differences in its wines.